basically high school, 17, he came out to California, okay, law school, college, okay, but then he came back to the basics and made a car, a replica, and his goal is supporting me to bring transportation and technology lab classes back into the schools nationwide. They've taken shops out. We need to, and girls too, like boys and girls, cool cars are the hook, okay? And that's why we bought a cool car for you. It was gonna be over there closer, but things happen, but it's out there. He has some posters. He can sign something. He's famous, okay? But when you're famous, people, they don't like to tell you. That's the humbleness, okay? Just like you guys. You guys are all famous. So we're going to give the awards out, okay? And just remember, Stream Soccer, we're bringing science, technology, research, engineering, art, and math to soccer, okay? And NASA needs you. Okay? At 16 years old, they have paid internships starting at 16 years old. Please, everybody, go to nasa.gov. www.nasa.gov. If you go there once a week, you'll be the smartest kid in any high school, trust me. Once a week. The Artemis program right now is going up. That was like the Apollo. In fact, it's on the launch pad right now. Hopefully the weather holds up. You can go up. This is my assistant, Jerry. He started.
Without further ado, I'm an alumni from Centennial, but you all are important. Let's get the show on the road and let's get these trophies passed out. Wait, one more. Go ahead.
You know, I quit high school when I was 17 and then went back and went on to college and law school. So part of it is just sticking to it and looking for your dreams and where you're headed. And I think the competition and the discipline that it takes for everybody here to be included, I think, is a great thing, and I think you should all be applauded for the time and discipline and the dedication of not only the children but the parents and educators. So I think you guys are doing a great job.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor.
Okay. All right, here we go. We're here at the Norco Unified School District 16th annual Stream Soccer. And of course, the Stream is a science, technology, research, engineering, arts, and math. I'm speaking to a legend here. He knows all about research. Actually, at 17 years old, he was working on vehicles before that, and then he happened to come out to California, okay? Similar to my story, I'm from Centennial, Ohio. Met Jim at an event, saw that he was just a no-nonsense guy, okay? He's a real deal. He doesn't like all this fake stuff, okay? That's why we get along. But he came out, okay, for the kids, okay? And he has a wonderful vehicle here that he's done, and he can tell us about that particular vehicle. This is Jim Marietta, the one and only.
Well, thank you, Bill. Appreciate it. So we thought we wanted to come out today and support Bill in his effort to support the schools and to get shop back in the school and to get the guys and girls to work with their hands and know what they're doing. Because as technology moves on, we're going to need more people that know how to be a mechanic, an electrician, a plumber, and those kind of people. And the more that you can cross-train, the better you're going to be off and the better life you're going to have. Because the more you know and the more you can do with your hands, the more independent you can be and the more useful you can be to everybody. And so I was lucky enough to kind of grow up in the age where I had to know a little bit of all those things. And so from there, if I go back to the beginning, I got enamored with the Cobras and what Shelby was doing back in 1964. Of course, now that's, some 62 years ago.
That's how old I am, 62.
And so I ended up quitting high school, working in automotive shops, and then came out to work at Shelby's. And how I got there was also interesting stories that I went to the races and would hang out with the Shelby group, and they offered to have me work for them, where they wouldn't pay my transportation, but they would let me sign in on their sheet so I didn't have to jump the fence to get in. Right, and they would feed me, and they would find a place for me to stay, because most of the tracks were throughout the country. And then, after I shook this gentleman's hand, whose name was Al Dowd, he said, "Oh, Jim, by the way, we're not going to pay you." So I worked through the summer at the races for free. Okay, and then at the end of the year, they said, "We're going to hire a bunch of guys. You want to move to California?" And I did. The point of that story is that sometimes you have, in the beginning, you have to work for free or very little to get started. You don't start out in the middle, or you don't start out at the top. Okay, you start out by going, here's where I want to be. I'm going to be there anyhow, paying my own way. So if they want me to work for free, let's at least get on the train. Let's at least get on board. And then things will develop from there. And so I was lucky enough then to get a job with those guys. It was the Shelby team, Venice, California. And then we moved to the airport. My primary duties were working on the Mustang, which is there's a continuation car right behind us. And the car that I worked on won the championship in 1965 with a guy by the name of Jerry Titus driving it. And of course I can be proud of that car because it won the championship. It sold at Mecum auction about 2 years ago for $4 million. The most expensive Mustang on earth. And that was the car that I helped build. And I mean to say I helped build it because I was only 17, but the crew chief was only 25. Okay, and then Peter Bryant, who was from England, and he worked on the car with us. But we were the three hands-on guys that modified the car that ultimately won the race. You know, we had a couple of engineers, and Peter Brock helped design part of the aerodynamics, and he designed the paint scheme. And then I worked on a project at the airport for Ford, which was the independent rear suspension that they tried in 1965, and they killed it because it cost too much money. And after the program died, the engineer I worked with said, "Jim, go back to school." So I went back to school. I finished high school. Then I went on to college, and then about 10 years after college, I went to law school. And then in 2015, the 50th anniversary of the GT350, I thought it'd be fun to get together with a group of the original guys and build the cars. And that car that we got together and built with the original guys who built the very first one is the car sitting on the trailer. So it's a very special car because myself, Ted Sutton, who was the crew chief at the time, Peter Brock, who did the design and aerodynamics, we built this second car just like we would have built it 60 years earlier, with the same people, the same basic car.
And so went back to the basics.
We went back to the basics, and we did upgrade it with the things that we wanted to do some 60 years earlier. Peter redesigned the front fascia. We redesigned the rear window a little bit. And we put in the independent rear suspension with original parts that we had acquired over the years. And rear brake ducts that work because the original ones didn't work very well. And so this car represents the car that we wanted to build some 60 years ago with the parts that were available 60 years ago. But we upgraded it because back in the day, both Shelby and Ford said, well, we don't have the time and the money to mess around and do all that right now. We want to go out with what we got and win the races, and that's what we did. So anyhow, without going into all the different things that I could talk about, the point of the story is really kind of twofold. One is, don't worry about working with your hands, okay? You get dirty and you get stuff on your fingernails. That's not a bad thing, okay? I spent 30 years as an accountant, okay, in between time. So I know what shuffling paper means, okay? I got it, okay? you will not feel, you don't get the same feeling of accomplishment by shuffling paper as you do by building a car like this, or building a cocktail table for your family, or helping some family with a plumbing issue. You get a great feeling of accomplishment to say, look, I did that, I helped out, I did this, and it's a complete job. Okay? And sometimes you have to start out working for not much money, maybe no money. But let's say at least get on board. Let's start somewhere and move up from there. And there's so many people in the country who have done that. And you've kind of heard from Mike Rowe, who says the same story, right? I lived it. He talks about it. He may have lived it as well, but I know that I lived it as well. And that's the way it goes, right? So don't think about, oh, I need to get $16 an hour. If it's something you really want to do, and if it's something that's worthwhile, take a hit for a little while, okay? Learn the trades. Get into an apprenticeship. The plumbers, electricians, operating engineers, great jobs. You'll have a great income and a great family life, and you'll make plenty of money. Okay, so that's why I'm here supporting Bill and talking about these things, because I've been through it, I lived it, and it really works.
And I told you,
thank you.
Yeah, right.
One of a kind, so we're just so happy to hear you. Now, someone that kind of can write about it, okay, and then get into the magazines. I had a good conversation with Miles here, and he can tell you his story. Miles, thank you for being here.
Thank you. Yeah, similar, I was just so passionate. It's like, I tell people that are much younger, just like what Jim was saying, figure out what you love, and figure out in your mind what ignites the passion in your mind. And for me, I was so crazy about the cars. All I wanted to do was be involved with the cars. And I learned to work on stuff a little bit. I mean, I wasn't an engineer, a fabricator, an engine builder. But long story short, I turned my passion for the automotive sector, and I said, well, what can I do with that? And I figured out this sort of little bit of a harebrained idea. Well, maybe I could learn to write and go write about cars. And that's exactly what I did. And some people will go, well, you must love to write. It's like, well, no, the writing is really just to a means to an end. And I've been a journalist now for decades on print magazines, and I spent quite a bit of time writing specifically about cars like this. And it's been, I still love the cars, even all these years later, even though print no longer really exists. Everything's online and YouTube and all that good stuff. So basically, exactly what Jim has just been saying the last few minutes. Figure out what it is that you love, whether it's, I even tell people you could be into anything: baseball, stamp collecting, outer space, astronomy, cars, trucks, literally anything, cooking, food, and you could probably go write about it or do YouTube videos on it these days. And so that's it. I mean, to my mind, it's kind of the same thing. And I've had a great run, and I didn't do it for the money, but I didn't care, because all I wanted to do was be involved with these cars, and I'm still doing that today.
And you've heard both these gentlemen say cars. Okay?
Yeah.
Cars are the hook. Okay?
Right.
So why America, and whether it be the president, you got to bring it back. We shouldn't have taken the cars out of the schools.
Trades, do the trades.
So we're campaigning to bring it back. We're willing to teach and educate and mentor. You have an accountant here, a lawyer, someone that can write about it. We're here, And I do want to talk to all the car companies. Ford, GM,
Stellantis,
Chrysler. We got to come together, man. I mean, not
Japanese
one
and
company's
German
going to do
makers.
it by themselves.
Yeah.
Okay.
They're going to need people to help design this stuff.
You have to collaborate.
Yeah.
Get with Jim and Miles and me and those people. Okay. Because we're the ones that is right here. We're not working for the corporation. We're right here with the kids. That's why we're here now.
Yeah.
Okay?
Yeah.
We want to. We made it easy for you. Okay. Yeah, everything costs money. Put in a little money, bring some cars out, let us go to the schools.
And I did a number of internships that paid little or nothing.
And then you can write about it.
Because all I wanted to do was write.
To get it up to the suits,
Yeah.
as you know, because
Yeah.
you got to write some big old fancy dancy 8-page thing of why you need to be there. So we have a writer.
Yeah.
Okay. Donia is coming later. She's going to write the stories. He brings this vehicle here, $1 million vehicle from Huntington Beach. He drives out there. He's not getting paid for it. It's the passion that he cares about. So
We literally brought it here so the kids can see it.
exactly.
Yeah.
And so I want to thank these two fine gentlemen here. It's not easy. It's not like this guy does everything to do, man. He's got to juggle stuff around, just to be here. So we really thank you, Jim.
We're happy to be here.
Yep. So if I could, one more thing to say is that I mentioned cars and guys, but it's also for the girls and for the ladies.
For women.
A lot of the ladies like to work on cars. A couple of the ladies I know, when we go to the track, they get under the car like the guys.
Oh, yeah.
So don't be, if you're a girl / lady, don't be afraid of that. Don't be afraid of doing that. On the other hand, if you like being a seamstress or you like doing the cooking, go after your passion regardless of what it
Speaking
is.
of that, seamstress.
Yeah.
Someone's got
Blue and green, blue and white.
Yeah. So I didn't want to leave out the ladies and the girls.
Thank you.
Because they're to a degree. I think they're more than 50% of the population now because we keep on killing the guys off. But at any rate, they have the same a lot of same passions to go do things, and so don't let that stop you. Go do what you're after.
Well, Jim, I'm going to give a shout out to Emily King. And she's a hidden pioneer. She's the first African American female designer for Ford Motor Company.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, but a lot of people
I've heard of her.
may not know that.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad you said that because we cannot leave out the females.
Yeah.
There were a whole bunch of them. But you know what? I think they like driving them more.
Well, racing drivers.
Yeah.
There's a number of women in NHRA drag racing that are having incredible success.
But anyhow, we have some things right here that he's going to sign for the kids, and tomorrow's the boys. Today is the girls. So thank you so much, Jim, for talking about that, because we may have forgotten to say the females.
No, or, like I said,
Again,
Shirley Muldowney.
Yeah.
Heart Like a Wheel is the name of the movie. Yeah.
So great
NHRA
great
Top
vehicles
Fuel.
here.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
award winning. Okay, it's going to be here most of the day.
Yeah.
All you people, you can come out, take advantage of it, because it's not like you can see this thing. It's one of a kind. And Jim here is to me, he's famous. Okay, he's humble. He's been there, done that, and now he's right back at it again. And again, going back to the basics.
We just love the cars. Yeah.
Thank you.
Yep. Thank you.
Thanks for watching.
Thank you very much.